Well, this here is the 1924 that I've been working on for a long time. 1924 touring car. Lots happened. It kind of sort of got sandblasted back from the sandblaster, painted black, put Model A wheel adapters on it, at least on the front axle. And well, I needed a motor, and I knew it'd take some doing to get the motor fixed, well, machined at any rate. So I took and I bought this car for the engine that ran, and it ended up being such a nice car that, heck, I just ran it. And then it ended up hammering the Babbitt out of one of the rods, and I got it running again, but it needed new transmission bands, so still haven't gotten around to that. But Tudor 1927. It's actually a really nice survivor car. Old bears in the background barking at foxes. This is actually the hood off of this car. I pulled it off that car, put it on this car just for now. The hood for this car is sitting on the other side of the shop. But then we got this car here because my little brother wanted to build a polo car. So this one here is a 24 coupe. And the one thing it's got going for it, body-wise, is that it's all just surface rust. There's no deep rusted out, but the woodwork on this is pretty much all rotted away. And just enough of it's been replaced to make it hold together. But this here motor will actually go ahead and spin over. Got a Holly vaporizer on it. And the radiator is over here. This radiator would come with that car. And it's all just sitting on there. Nothing's really bolted down or anything. And I have that door sitting on the shelf over here with all the other Model T parts and random bits and bobs. There's a John Deere bee exploded in here too. But right here is the what's left of the driver's side door for the 24 coupe. And over here is a 25 coupe that is my most recent Model T. And it too is lacking some woodwork. Like you see that bit over there, and you'd expect it to be symmetrical, so that bit's definitely missing. And then the wood that the actual trunk lid would mount to is also missing. And tail light, but all things considered, this here is a very complete car. It needs some loving, and the motor in this one actually doesn't have the rods connected to the crank. For whatever reason, they're just not connected. I also really like this honeycomb radiator. I'm hoping that holds. But we're lacking carbonation and all the entire wiring harness for the automobile. The hood for this car, right there. But it's had some uber goober welds done on it. I had to grind through some of the welds just to get the thing to actually fold up right. But the wood wheels seem to be in really good shape. Front tires are very bald and don't hold air. But this side still got glass in it, even though it's got a little bit of a funkiness going on right here. And old gauge is busted, and I don't got a key for it, and don't have the floor pans for it. It's got a really nice fuel tank. Somebody just did some light upholstery work to it, and they redid the B-pillars in it. So, and with the doors on the 25, they're actually metal. And this side has this piece, but the other side doesn't have this pull garnish molding. So we'll go over and check that side out. The rear tires actually got quite a bit of tread. The old spare is a little bit thin, but not near as thin as the fronts. And there should be structure back in here, but all the wood's gone, and you'll note there's a lot more light in that trunk than there ought to be, because we got some rot. But this is not rotted out over there on that body, just on this body. And the fenders are really solid, and they're not all dented and beat up. I'm sure that when it was being taken care of, it was being very well taken care of. But like I said, that pull garnish molding is missing on this side. But on the roof is a sheet of plywood on this one and the old 27 there. Both of them got the plywood treatment. And that one's just got an old, I think that's a 67, 68 GMC hood just sitting on top of that one. But I mean, there's plenty to work with here. At least more than what the 24 had to offer. And then I pulled some trinkets out of the trunk and set them over here. We got the upper window molding. This goes up here in the top of the door and has a little rubber track in it that holds that. I got 2 of them, but I'm missing the ones that go up in here. Oh wait, that one's got one. I take it back. That one's there yet. But this one is gone. That one's still there. I'm pondering now. A little bit of light coming in over there. Surely that's from the trunk, because it's not horrible down in the belly until you get up to there. And I do have a key for the trunk though. Old skeleton key for the trunk. There's a lot of Phillips screws on here. Old Henry Ford would be turning over in his grave seeing all these Phillips screws holding the steering column in place and such. What are you barking at, Bear? Ah, the elusive alley cat. But yeah. I mean, it's not rusty where you'd think it'd be rusty, but and it's not all beat to heck either. I was gonna check this side. I know it's got the side garnish molding. Hold on, let me. Every now and then it works. That's the interesting thing is, you know. Okay, so this side, the upper garnishment is missing. But it does have both sides. Okay. And more of them incorrect screws. This side's missing the piece of metal that goes here and across here and here. But that door has those pieces. And there's supposed to be a little piece of trim that separates where the windshield goes together, and supposed to be some rubber in here to help seal the windshield. That's long gone. And it's got the holes for a sun visor, but she's missing. See if I can trick this thing into opening or not. Okay, there it is. Must be going the wrong way. There. But Down in the trunk is a little piece of the toe board there, the metal bit, and round block and some rotted wood. That there's the regulator for the driver side quarter window. And come back over to the Cub Cadet here, and these here are actually the side garnish moldings for the door. And you note that this one's a little bit shorter than the other one. So this one goes in the front. This one goes in the back of the door. Right here and vice versa. Now these two, this one and this one, were also in the trunk of this car, but they don't go to this car. Not certain. It should have notches for that little knob to swing over in, like this one does. And this here is another Model T quarter window frame, driver side. So that's literally that piece. So I have that. And so I'm missing the passenger side upper molding. And I'm missing all of the lower moldings because these here are way too big to be the lower moldings. And that car doesn't have any moldings in it. None. Gotta get up in here without knocking myself out. Well, yeah. It's got the old seat pan in it yet, and the old trunk pan. Just as rusty, if not rustier than the other trunk pan. But this car has even the belt moldings and seam moldings are missing. But it's really straight, but there's nothing there. Old ignition coil box goes up on the firewall from the inside. Got several of those now that I've been collecting for the other car. But eventually this is actually a 26-27 frame. But that's a 24 engine. And that's a 25 engine over there. So what I'm thinking, for the time being, thinking about putting this engine, trying to get it running, put it in that car, and use parts that I've acquired for the old 24 over there to get that one going. It should be an interesting journey for sure. All right. already got an axle that I'm going to pull apart and replace the thrust washers. Just been collecting pieces. It's not like it used to be. Old timers tell me that back when they started working on Model Ts, they had the ability to just go around the neighborhood and knock on people's doors and say, hey, you got any Model T parts you'd want to get rid of? And old boy'd go out to his garage and grab a handful of parts and throw together a car. Now it's a little bit more difficult, as 26, 27s, guys want to make hot rods out of them. And yes, they did have wood spoke wheels, but there's something I want to show all of you just to clear up the mud. Alright, you see that hole right there, that square shaped flange with a hole? That's where the starter goes, the electric starter. Alright, over here, this one's got a block out plate on it. That's where the starter goes. This one here, electric start. I got guys all the time that are like, oh, I'd never buy a Model T. Gotta hand start them. That's no good. Well, they all came with hand start. Quite a bit of them came with the starter. And the ones that didn't come with a starter, change out a handful of pieces, and bam, you can get a starter on them. But yeah, I think this coupe will be a really good project. And I know what some of you are thinking. Well, why would I work on this dirty old coupe when I have that dirty old sedan? Well, I want to go through that sedan and beef up the engine a little bit, give it a little bit more ponies, and let's do some general work on this one. And I mean, this thing's been rode hard. Like, the only thing keeping that in place is the cotter pin. That whole thing. It's got a big old gap. And the threads are completely gone off that. And if that's like that, you can see where this spring's been rubbing the top of the axle. Like, this thing really needs to be thoroughly gone through before I'd feel safe in it. And it's a nice enough survivor car, though, that I want to do as little to upset the patina as possible. Because, you know, it's only original once. And I want to keep this one as close to original as I can. But I also want a nice one. And I got a funny feeling that between what's here and over here and all the parts I bought for that one back there, that I can make this one into a nice painted up runner. But we'll see what happens.